everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. This is your hot takes, and this week there is a lot to delve into.
Yep.
I mean, we've had shouts to bring Erik ten Hag back. We have a lot of opinions on Ruben Amorim.
Yep.
We've got some opinions on Manchester United as a whole, the hierarchy, the ownership. We've got loads to get into, but I want to start off with the first one, and I've grouped them together a little bit into topics.
Okay.
So the first one is from Milan07, and they have said, I think Cunha doesn't fit with the new system with a back four where he's forced to play left wing. Then we have another one in here from Chizade saying Cunha will never be successful at United if Bruno stays. Bruno will always stay in his position. Get my hair out my mouth there. So basically the consensus is, because we're not playing with the 2 10s now in Ruben Amorim's system, that Cunha's going to struggle to find a position. That's one of the hot takes, because they don't think he's a left wing, but they don't think he's a 10. And then the other one is saying, now that we're playing a system where Bruno is probably going to play as a more attacking player, him and Cunha are sort of have the same role and they're not going to be able to play together. They're both like the risk takers of the team.
Okay, so I mean, look, onto the first one that you mentioned about the formation. It's weird because everyone was saying the same thing with, you know, the last formation of Amorim, so it's like, which one are we picking? Does he not fit that one? Does he not fit this one? He has to fit something, because he was obviously a very, very good player last season. So I think with Cunha, especially if you look at what he was doing at Wolves, he was playing more predominantly on the left, but he had players like Nori on the side as well, where, let's say he was cutting in and playing as a more of a attacking like 10. He had another player that could overlap and put in crosses, so he wasn't necessarily having to be a left winger. So I just think it's more a case of how can we structure this team, not necessarily around Cunha, but how can we piece certain plays in certain positions that can also complement each other. And I think when you look at the flanks on both sides, I remember you say the same thing about Rashford and Luke Shaw, how they used to play really good together because they both just complemented each other's games. Luke Shaw would overlap Rashford, he would draw the players out, Rashford could cut inside. These are kind of things that, as a manager and as a coach, not necessarily talking about Amorim, but the next manager, if they can find a way to put certain players together, then it'll really complement the playing style. So I disagree. I think Cunha can definitely play in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. I don't think that's a big problem.
I agree, because I think he's a very versatile player. I think he can play as number 10. I think he can play off the left, kind of as an inverted winger.
Yeah.
And I also think he can play as a false 9 as well. I think he can play up front, and he's proved that. Look, just because we've moved to a back four doesn't mean Cunha won't be successful. I think Cunha is struggling, and I think he's struggling right now. I don't think it's because we've suddenly just gone to a back four. Cunha, had hit and misses under Amorim. He had brilliant games, like the Liverpool game, and I think he was man of the match against Leeds. It wasn't, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a wealth of competition for that. That Liverpool game, he was fantastic, and there's other games he's been really good, but there's other games under Ruben Amorim where he wasn't the Cunha that we bought from Wolves. I think he's going to take time to settle in. I think he's going to need to adjust. I do think, though, him and Bruno do cover a lot of the same role, and they play it very, very differently, but you can't lose possession all the time in a team, and there's only a certain amount of bandwidth you have for a certain amount of risk taking. Bruno Fernandes has that element of risk in his game, and it's what makes him so good. Some people love it, some people get frustrated with it, but I think Cunha has that as well. Sometimes he takes the ball for a little bit too long. Sometimes he'll try and shoot when maybe he should pass it, and he'll either have to work on that with the coach of when to make them decisions, or and what I'm saying is, with him and Bruno in the team together, there might be too much of the risk taking, and you lose the ball too much, and you get caught in the transition too much. They're both very, very good players, but I think they are sort of both the star guys of the team, and that's the only thing where I'm like, will that work in the future? But I think it can. But I see it in a way as Bruno is the 10, two wingers, Amad and Mbumo, let's say, and then Cunha would kind of have to play as the false 9. It's like, where do you leave Sesko? Are you going to change it up depending on the game? And obviously we've got a lot of good attacking players for them positions, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the future manager. Yeah, look, and just to finish off on the Bruno point, I don't think there's that big of a problem. I think they're both very experienced players. They're not kids, not like 18-year-olds. They're both grown men, and they both play a lot of football, and they both understand football to a very high level. They both play international football, and when you play international football, you're naturally going to be playing with different players and different systems, different tactics, so they understand how to do it. So for me, it's more a case of just playing together a little bit more, understanding each other's games. You're forgetting, Bruno's had a few games out this season, Cunha's had some games out this season. The team's kind of been chopping and changing all around the place. I think eventually when they play together, like I said, a bit more, and they understand each other's games a little bit more, then we're going to see them the performances of each individual player progress. And there's another hot take that I wanted to bring on off the back of this, because it's kind of on the same lines of what we're saying right now before we move on to a different topic. And the other one was that Mount's position is now redundant in a back four. You know, in a where he's not playing as a number 10 with Amorim's system as a back three. And obviously multiple different managers play with a back three, and it can be a different way of playing, it can be a different style. But the hot take was essentially saying that Mount's position is now redundant and he's now going to be battling with Bruno Fernandes for that position. Do you agree with that?
Redundant. I mean, before Ruben, where was he playing? Like, Mount's been here. He's not like he's just come just this season with Ruben Amorim. Like, he's been here before. They signed him knowing that Bruno Fernandes was still in the team. So, I don't know. That just seems like a bit of a... End of the day, every player needs to have some kind of competition, and I don't mind Bruno having competition as well. In fact, I'd prefer that, because then at least he knows that his position is not 100% secured, and there's players that can come in to also put in a good performance. And I think Mount can put in a good performance in that 10 role. So for me, it's not that much of a problem. I don't think it's a redundance. I think it's more of a good thing.
As well, plus with his injuries, he's not going to be able to be relied upon for 90 minutes every single game. So it's not as if you can really build a team around Mount. I think Mount is a good squad player to have, because he's a very, very good footballer, and you can trust him to play really important games for you, but he's not someone you're going to be able to build a team around for a whole season. So I think it suits Mason Mount being able to come in for certain games into different positions. And off the back of that, there was another hot take from a gentle man in the city saying Lacey, Ahmad, Mbeumo and Dorgu are all better right wing options than Mount. Obviously, we've just seen Mount play right wing, and people are thinking, where's he going to play? You know, in a new formation, if Bruno's in the 10, is he going to play off the right? Is he going to play off the left? Is he going to play in the 10 in replacement of Bruno? Can he even play as an 8? But that hot take is that Lacey, Ahmad, Mbeumo and Dorgu are all better right wing options than Mount. What do you think of that one?
Well, I think first of all, it's tough to say Lacey's a better, just because I love Lacey from what he's done. That's a couple of games, a lot of hype. But to say he's better than Mason Mount is a bit of a... Like, come on, like Mason Mount's done. I think he's done enough in his career so far to at least say he's above Shea Lacey. So I'm not going to hear that one. The Dorgu one, I think he's got different attributes to Mount, and I think Mount's got certain attributes which are better in terms of his technical ability. You know, even just his first touch and his passing and all these kind of things, his IQ of the game. I think that's better than Dorgu, whereas Dorgu's got the athleticism, the pace, all these kind of things. So there's just different kinds of players. For me to say he's better than him, I don't necessarily agree with that one either. It
depends what you want as well in your winger, and what team you're playing, and how you like to see your football be played. I love a pacey winger that can take a man on, beat a player, get across into the box. That's not Mount, right? I think Mount is a fantastic footballer, by the way. I think he's a midfielder. I see Mount as a really good midfielder. He's super intelligent, he's tenacious, he's good at winning the ball back, he covers a lot of ground, he's got great technical ability, he's got an eye for a pass. I think Mount is a very good midfielder. I don't see him as a winger. I like my wingers to have pace. I like them to have unpredictability. When you've got Mount on the wing, you're essentially having a midfielder on the wing with a really good cross and good technical ability. Although, to be fair, he was tracking Dalot like there was no tomorrow, because he was having to get back to cover Dalot a lot when he was playing on that right, and he was putting in some yards. But as like a flying winger with unpredictability, I would say Lacey and Mbeumo, Ahmad and Dorgu are all more my style. But like you say, it doesn't necessarily mean that Mount is a worse footballer, because I don't think he is. I think Mount's a very good footballer. It's just not my preference to have a midfielder on the wing.
And last point on that, it's not even that bad of a thing to have multiple players that are good in different positions. Mount can play multiple positions, and Mbeumo can play multiple positions, Ahmad can play multiple positions. It's not a terrible thing to say that we have multiple players who are very good in different positions. So again, I think it's even a good thing.
Look, I remember Pogba left wing.
And DM and 10. He played everywhere, to be fair.
Okay, Mords, the next hot take. Oh, this might ruffle some feathers. And it is that the next manager will show how poor Ruben Amorim truly was. So, hot take.
The next manager, you know what? Probably. I'll be honest, probably. And I'll be honest, I kind of want to slowly just move away from the Amorim topics, because we're going to end up doing it every single week, and it's just going to be the same conversations over and over again. It's just going to get so boring. But I just think at the end of the day, like, all the next manager has to do is win more than one game a month, and already he looks like a better manager than Ruben Amorim. So I don't think it's going to take much. I think maybe, the main thing that people talk about Ruben Amorim that he did well was get the bad eggs out of the team.
Trying to change the culture.
Trying to change the culture of the club. And I think as long as the new manager has that kind of same mentality to try and improve the culture and also develop it as well, and obviously on the pitch see better results and better football, that's all we're really asking for. So yeah, I actually don't think that's a crazy hot take.
I don't think it's a crazy hot take either, because, I tweeted this earlier, actually. Remind me, I need to delete Twitter. I need to delete Twitter. I need to get off that app. But I tweeted it, and I truly stand by this. I think some people, not everyone, but some people are struggling to grasp the fact that as a fan, you can think that Ruben Amorim in 14 plus months in charge wasn't good enough to justify hundreds of millions of pounds worth of investment into his system and into his project. I wanted to see more in than 14 plus months. But you can think Ruben Amorim wasn't a good enough manager for Manchester United, as well as being super frustrated with the way that Manchester United has been run from top to bottom with the ownership. You can think them two things at the same time. Just because the ownership eventually sacked Ruben Amorim doesn't mean that if you thought Ruben Amorim should have gone, you side with the ownership. It doesn't mean that. I think
it's just slow thinking.
Both were frustrated with Ruben Amorim, but we're both frustrated with the multiple poor decisions that have been made on the footballing side of things from the ownership. You can think both at the same time, and maybe in time, Ruben Amorim will go on to be absolutely fantastic, and we might be sat here thinking, oh, maybe we should have just, stuck with it and seen it out. But I'm a United fan that wants to see Manchester United successful. I mean, everyone has a different opinion of how that's going to happen. All I can say is I speak from a place of, I come to Old Trafford with my season ticket every week, and I was sick of seeing poor performances. I'm sick of seeing, us drop points to teams that we should never be dropping points to. I'm sick of seeing us lose. I'm sick of seeing us play badly, whether that comes from the ownership, whether that comes from the manager, whether that comes from whatever in behind the club. Whatever we can do to change the fate of what we're seeing on the pitch, I was willing to do. And from a managerial point of view, I don't think Ruben Amorim did enough in 14 plus months, but that doesn't mean I think the ownership did. I think the ownership is still massively to contribute as to where Manchester United are at now, and big changes need to be made. So that's where I'm at. If a new manager comes in, they are going to have to deal with the hierarchy that we've got now. How they'll fare with that, only time will tell. But like you said, it's not as if Ruben Amorim was getting win after win after win. We had a lot of games that we struggled in. We lost, cup games that were really important, like we've just done without him, to be fair. But it wasn't as if he was doing a lot on the pitch to prove, oh yeah, we should really invest into this. So I think it's a massive multitude of problems at Man United, and people want to deal in extremisms. I don't know the word, so I'm not going to try extremities. People want to deal, I think, people want to deal in extremities when realistically, there's multiple different conversations to be had with multiple different viewpoints on each one. So.
Yeah, 100%. And just to finish off on that point, I just think with the owners, I say this all the time to be fair, but just to repeat it again, I'm more concerned with the fact that the owners hired him in the first place than them sacking him.
You've said this.
Sack him all you want. You can sack every manager in the world, I don't care. But if you hire the wrong one, then you've already made the mistake. The mistake was made initially when you hired Ruben Amorim, because you didn't understand what he wanted. You didn't communicate with the manager as to what his role even was. He thought he was the manager and he told him he was the head coach. That was already a big problem. So for me, the biggest problem when it comes to the ownership is really the hiring of the managers, not necessarily sacking them, because most managers get sacked. Most managers end up leaving because they get sacked. It's rare that a manager will leave just because they want to these days. Most of them get sacked anyway. So if you hire the right ones, then you'll be successful.
Right, to finish us off, Maud, I'm going to do some quick fire. So get in the comments what you think of these. I'm going to go through them very, very quickly. Sure. So United needs a proven coach/manager ASAP. I don't think that's hot.
Yeah, I think every club does, really.
We also have sacking Ruben Amorim was a big mistake in this stage of the season. It will only get worse from here.
I'm hoping it will get better. I'm hoping we'll at least every lower team. So no, I don't agree with that one.
I think we've dropped points to some teams in a really, really good fixture run for us where we should have picked them up. We've got a lot harder fixtures coming up now, so let's hope the interim can do something, but it's going to be difficult. Yeah. It's going to be very difficult this season because there's a lot of the unknown and there was no succession planning, which again comes from, I think, people can talk about should Amorim have been sacked because of results and performances, and people are entitled to have that opinion. But I think the sacking came from the breakdown behind the scenes, which then left to no succession plan, which might impact for us for the rest of the season. Yeah, if we would have actually had a proper succession plan, we probably would have been in a better place to deal without having Ruben Amorim, but we've not, and that's really frustrating. Next one is Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko will be the end of the season front three. No. You think Ahmad will be in there?
I think Ahmad will be in there, yeah. I think somehow, some way, I think also, in general, Ahmad's just put in more better performances this season, and obviously Cunha wasn't here last season, but I think in general, I just see more quality from Ahmad in this team, and I think we need him.
I think Ahmad and Mbeumo will definitely be in there. I think it's Sesko and Cunha kind of fighting for the other position. I would edge towards probably Cunha, but Sesko's picked up the goals. Yeah. Okay, Sahil has said Ruben Amorim would have won the FA Cup this season.
Who knows? We won 2 FA Cups in 20 years, and Ruben Amorim got knocked out the last one. So yeah, I doubt it.
We have sacking Ruben Amorim will cost Man United any European spot. They will finish 10th or below.
Nah, disagree.
And then Shea shows the aggression. Shea Lacey, we need, if the whole team did this, we would be good enough to win a title.
I think aggression in the right way, yeah. Obviously, it was a dumb mistake, which he obviously learnt from, and I still feel sorry for him, to be fair. But I still think, yeah, we need to show the fact that they only showed that aggression after we scored is a problem. They should have been showing that aggression the whole game from the first goal that we conceded. So I agree in the sense that, yeah, we want to see a bit more passion from the players, but not in that way.
And then lastly, we will get top four when Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui come back regardless.
Regardless. It's tough the way the season's looking. It's hard to say anyone's going to get top four regardless. I think it's going to go down to the last game week, so hopefully they are a big contributor to that.
I'm holding on to 6th right now. Europa League football. We need some sort of European football. I was dreaming of Champions League, but the fixture run now it's going to be difficult. But let's say the league is wide open.
Yep.
But look, everyone, thank you very much for your hot takes. We had loads more as well, so make sure you get your hot takes in the comments. Follow us along on the United Stand TV Instagram. Send in your hot takes, smash a like on the video, and we'll be back on the next one.